What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 18 NFL Power Rankings, being the last week of the regular season. But before I get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Get us to 500 subscribers. Well, I will be doing that giveaway of an autograph item, bigger and better than before. But we got to start with the last team. The Indianapolis Colts are staying put here. They're awful this year. 6-game losing streak, 1-9 in their last 10. Sam Ehlinger had to come in and replace the injured Nick Foles, and he didn't do too much, but more than Foles did in this one. Zach Moss looked like a bright spot, and there's really not much for this team to play for except a better draft pick against the Texans in the last week. 31, we have those Texans pretty much playing for last spot in their power rankings this year. They're looking for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. They're going to get one of the two. They have either the first or second pick next year. And it doesn't matter because the Bears won't take either of those guys. So the Texans at this point, who's your quarterback going to be next year? 30, you have the Bears with Justin Fields. And this team just announced that Justin Fields will not be playing Sunday. So he's just going to, sit this one out against the Vikings. And, this team had high hopes coming into the year, but they just faltered a few games after the season started. Their 9-game losing streak on the verge of 10, 0-5 in the NFC North, more than likely going to finish 0-6. So this team really needs to look at themselves in the mirror heading into next year. 29, the Broncos almost pull off the upset in Kansas City, and they move up to just because of that. They've also lost their 15th straight game to the Chiefs, which also is hurting this team, and that's guaranteed 2 losses per year, because these two teams play each other in the same division twice a year. But they did do good. The defense slowed down the Chiefs just enough, but the offense couldn't keep up. Wilson played a mediocre game, but for him this year is one of his better games. And now they play the Chargers this week, and now they're favored actually in this one. They were underdogs in this, but now the line has moved to when we're making this video. 28, the Cardinals lose to the Falcons at the end of the game with a game-winning field goal. They're playing for a good pick right now, going into San Francisco, who's playing for a 1 seed. So these Cardinals, really have something to play for to limit them from not becoming a 1 seed. At this point, they kind of want a better draft pick as well. So they could be getting a top 5 pick here. 27, the Rams, the biggest disappointment, I think, of the year. 5-11, no one would have saw this coming with that roster they brought back. And they even brought in Bobby Wagner to replace Von Miller. And this team just really hasn't been anything we thought they would be. But they can still help a team. And of course, it is going to be those Lions who they got Stafford from last year. If they win and the Lions win, then those Detroit Lions are headed to the playoffs. It's, a tough task for those Lions going into Lambeau this week. But hey, it's the last week of the season, and who's ready for some craziness? 26, the Falcons just beat those Cardinals we just talked about. Nothing really too important to report here other than they won on a game-winning field goal. Algier had a good game. Desmond Ridder, no turnover game as he's still looking for his first career touchdown pass. 25, the Browns move up 1 spot after eliminating the Commanders. And that's just a huge storyline for the Packers, Lions, and the Seahawks to give them a better shot for this week. The offense looked very good under Watson for the first time since he's been back. Cooper had a great game on only 3 touches. Chubb, obviously, another 100-yard game. And I like them going into Pittsburgh. It should be a tough game for these Steelers who are still looking to make a playoff game. 24, the Jets. This team has fallen off the map very hard. They fall to 24 here with a very ugly loss in Seattle. Don't score in the second half. The 12-year playoff drought now. It was 11 heading into this year. Now it's 12. They've lost 7 of their last 9. But they do have something to play for here, so they could eliminate the Dolphins here with a win and really spoil that. And obviously, being a divisional opponent, that's something you play for. 23, the Panthers come up just so close, and they blew the 11-point lead in the 4th quarter in Tampa. They got Brady essentially in this one. And, Darnold played good. Around the supporting cast around him played good, but it just wasn't enough as they couldn't get anything going in the 4th quarter to be eliminated from the playoffs. The Raiders are also eliminated. They lost in OT against the 49ers. They had their 1 shot, but couldn't get anything going. They totaled 500 total yards on offense, which was a very positive sign. Jared Stidham looked great in his first career start. Devontae had a game, that's for sure, but the defense just couldn't get the key stops when needed. 21, the New Orleans Saints. get the big road win in Philly against the number one seed in the NFC right now. And they did get eliminated because the Bucks won, unfortunately for them. But this Saints team has a lot to play for this week, I think, to prove that Dalton, could he come back next year to be the 1 year guy? Does he have that for him? And some young guys need to step up here around him. Shaheed has looked really good this year, and he could be a key piece moving forward. 20, the Titans have their sixth straight loss for the first time since 2015. They still have a shot this week to make the playoffs, winning in at this point. The Jaguars, same thing applies to them, but this Titans team does not look promising at all. Besides Derrick Henry, not playing last week and him fully healthy for this one, they got nothing going for this one. Josh Dobbs is starting again over rookie Malik Willis. They had 10 penalties, need to clean that up, and I just don't like where this Titans team is trending compared to last year. 19, the Commanders take a huge fall because they are eliminated now from the postseason. And I think if you're going to look back on this season, it's going to be the Carson Wentz era coming to an end yet again for another team in a 1 year stint. They never should have went to Wentz to start. I thought it should have been Heineke. He should have just been the man, ride it out while this team was winning games. But they threw in Wentz. He struggled, 3 INTs. The run game looked great as always, but it's just going to go down as a disappointment from what this team started with and then came back in a mid-season push, and then how they finish. 18, the Steelers are moving up. They still have a shot at the playoffs. As you can see there, they need Miami, New England a loss, and a win for them to get in. Jaylen Warren had a great game on 12 touches. Najee had a great game. Kenny Pickett led the masterful 11-play, 80-yard touchdown drive to carve up the Ravens in the end. And they got to go play the Browns at home. I like the Steelers in this one. They got everything on the line. Got to keep Mike Tomlin's winning streak of, not being under 500 alive. 17, we have those Patriots getting a huge win at home against the Dolphins. They get back to 500 and they win and are in if they play the Bills this week, which assuming they are right now, no update for the situation. They go into Buffalo, beat Buffalo, then these Patriots are in the playoffs. And it's just hard to believe because this team fell off really hard at one point, and then they're coming back, clawing back their way into things. And Mac Jones is to put this team up in this one because he had 2 touchdowns, turnover-free football, and played really well. 16, the Bucks, they are the NFC South champions now with the win over the Panthers. Brady and Evans went nuclear in this one. Evans, especially with 207 yards, 10 catches, and 3 tutties. They, went on a 23 run to end the game. And this Bucks team, maybe they're starting to find their click this late in the season. It's going to be interesting to see what they do against Atlanta because it means nothing for this Bucks team. And maybe they'll play a half, a quarter. Who knows what they're going to do in this one. But Bucks have nothing to play for this week. 15, the Seattle Seahawks get a big win over the Jets at home. They had lost their last 5 of 6 games, but they get the win here. So now they've lost their last 5 of 7, which is still a not good stat line to finish the season. But all they need is a win against the Rams and Green Bay loss to get in. I think it's possible. It's entirely possible, but they will have to wait until obviously after their game and then the nightcap of the Packers-Lions. Kenneth Walker, he's questionable right now. So who knows what's going to go on there. Geno Smith had a decent game, but they need a clean game against the Rams, who, we've seen put up a lot of points here in the little Baker Mayfield stint. 14, the Dolphins drop out of the top 10 with a very bad loss against the Patriots on the road. They can still make the playoffs with a win here, but they have to have those Patriots lose to the Bills in Buffalo, which is entirely possible, and it's trending towards it'll probably happen. But Tua back this week? Nope. He has already been ruled out for this game. And Teddy Bridgewater is out for the season with a broken finger, and it's either going to be Skylar Thompson or recently signed Mike Glennon to be the starting quarterback in this one. Yikes. So this team has nothing going for them, back against the wall. Can they prove it with a win and get that help from New England? 13, the Lions move up 1 spot as well, and they get a huge win over the Bears by 31. Great showing on both sides of the ball for these Lions. I think one of their most complete games of the year. And they keep those playoff hopes alive. And now they have to go into Lambeau and beat the Packers and hope for a Seattle loss to get that playoff spot. It's entirely possible. The Lions, I think right now, everyone is hoping for a 6-11, 7-10 at best season, but here they are in prime position to get the playoffs, and let's see if they can get it done. 12, my Packers get a huge win at home against Minnesota, and I didn't even think it was going to be this big of a blowout. I thought maybe the Packers, beating by a touchdown at most, finally end their, one game streak. No, that's not even what happened in this one. They got a punt blocked in the first quarter, and I thought, oh, here we go. They gave up a field goal, and since that moment, the Packers just took over, scored 41 unanswered points in a huge win. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Rodgers is playing great football. No turnovers anymore. Aaron Jones is looking good on the ground. And Jair looked great against Justin Jefferson. He called him out middle of the week and he shut him down. And that's what you like to see out of a top corner. 11, the Jacksonville Jaguars move up one spot with a win over Houston in Houston to end the 9-game losing streak they had to Houston, which was kind of surprising stat to see for me. The only thing though for this team, let's say they lose against the Titans, obviously if they win, they're in, they clinch the AFC South, but if they lose, they need 3 other losses by Miami, New England, and Pittsburgh to get in the playoffs, and they would have the best tiebreaker of the 8 and 9. Travis Etienne had a great game. Lawrence struggled in this one, but he didn't have to do too much just because of the Texans. And we're going to see Titans, how they do on Saturday night. Starting the top 10, I'm keeping the Ravens in here just for now. It looks like Lamar is trending to not play again for, I think, the 5th straight week. Tyler Huntley's more than likely going to have to take the helm yet again. Decent play, nothing too spectacular. Kept his team in the game until the end with a late pick. Mark Andrews had one of his best showings of the year, but they have clinched a playoff berth already, and I think this team is just hoping that Lamar is going to be fully healthy when they get to the playoffs. At 9, the New York Giants move into the top 10 yet again. They got a big win against the Colts at home, and they clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016. But the big question mark for me is this defense. Are they going to be able to stop the top teams? I don't think it's going to be, a big issue, but I think they can get burnt a few times or give up the big play a few times because they are susceptible of that. But Daniel Jones has looked like a top 10 quarterback this year. I'm going to say it. He's been very, very underappreciated for what he has done in this Giants offense under Brian Daboll in his first year, and it's only room for improvement here. But if they can get a win on the road in Philly, get maybe Philly out of the 1 seed and possibly drop them into the 5 seed, I think that's your motivation right there as a Giants fan, especially because you are in the same division and you don't want your best team, to be the 1 seed. 8, the Vikings move back 1 spot. A very ugly loss on the road in Green Bay. And they gave up 41 unanswered points. Justin Jefferson struggled for 1 catch for 15, no catches while on Jair. Jalen Naylor had 3 catches for 89 yards with a garbage time touchdown at the end. Kirk Cousins did not look good at all, throwing 3 picks, costly picks at key times in this game when they were trying to mount a comeback, and they just couldn't get it done. But they're going to go into Chicago this week, hoping to get things right heading into the playoffs. 7, the Chargers move up 1 spot with a win over the Rams. They scored 17 unanswered points as they win big, held the Rams scoreless in the second half. Eckler, over 100 receptions this year, which is insane to me being a running back, and 2 touchdowns as well. Well, Herbert, another superb performance from him, and he's been undervalued as well this year. It's not the top 5 fantasy quarterback or top 5, overall stats quarterback that we wanted to see, but this is what you like to see out of him. I'm sure he's more than happy to sacrifice his own stats for a playoff berth. At 6, the Cowboys stay put with a win over the Titans in Nashville on Thursday Night Football. They still have a shot for the 1 seed. They need a Philly loss and a win to clinch the NFC East and get that 1 seed possibly. But this is the first back-to-back 12-win season since they did it in 94 and 95. And I like the way the Cowboys are trending here, but if they have to go to Tampa seems like they've had their number in recent years, and that's not a matchup I would like to see these Cowboys play in. 5, the Chiefs are staying put as well with a close victory over the Broncos. Mahomes is 11-0 in his career against Denver, so that's an easy lock for sure. And they beat the Broncos for the 15th straight time. McKinnon, great in the passing game. Mahomes, obviously, yet again, another great game. And they still have their hopes alive for the 1 seed right now. With the Buffalo-Cincinnati situation, they have the 1st seed right now over Buffalo by half a game. And we're going to have to see how that plays out heading into next week. 4, we have the Bengals staying put here after their postponement versus the Bills. Obviously, that whole situation is, not a good situation. But before, that happened in late first quarter, T. Higgins had a touchdown. Burrow looked good on his first drive. They had 7 straight wins and possibly could make it 8 this week against the Ravens as they look to, put last week behind them. I don't know if they ever can because that's such a traumatic event, and obviously prayers up for him. But these Bengals got to get right at one point and they got to move forward and past that. At 3, the Philadelphia Eagles moved down out of the 1 spot for, they held it for 10 times this year and they're moving out of it because Minshew just didn't get this team enough opportunities to score. AJ Brown had a great game. Devonta Smith had a great game, but outside of them, nothing really was happening here. But they still can clinch that 1 seed in the NFC if they get a win over the Giants. And that's what they're playing for right now. But moving forward in the playoffs, you really got to hope Jalen Hurts is playing this week. And if he's not playing this week, then he's definitely going to be playing in the playoffs. At 2, I have the Bills staying put. And obviously, their biggest storyline is Damar Hamlin. What he went through is something that no one has ever seen on a football field before on prime television. This whole week has been awesome, showing the love and support for him, his family, everyone close to him. The whole community is behind him and stands with him and is praying for a very speedy recovery. And you got to respect the Bills and the Bengals for calling this game off and postponing it right away. You saw McDermott and Taylor, they kind of discussed and didn't want to play this game just because you saw the reactions of the players on TV, them crying, just in shock and awe of what just happened. And then them saying a prayer as well on the field, praying for him. And I just love that these Bills, it's going to motivate them to obviously play for him as well and rally around him. But it's going to be tough for them to go play the Patriots at home this week in a must win if they want to keep their 2nd seed right now. And how are they going to be able to handle, the adversity that they're going to be handling this whole week and leading up to the game? It's definitely going to be an emotional home game. I'm sure that there's going to be patches for them or helmet stickers or whatnot. And I think the whole NFL should do that as well. But these Bills, have a lot in front of them still and possibly a Super Bowl appearance. And at 1, I have the San Francisco 49ers with a big overtime win over the Raiders in Vegas. And this is their 9th straight win. Obviously, it took them a little longer than they anticipated, but they got the interception when they needed it in overtime to set Robbie Gould up for the win. Brandon Ayuk had a great game. McCaffrey, yet another stellar game. He should be getting votes for MVP from what he has done when he joined the 49ers. Brock Purdy has been great as the 3rd-string quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, stepping in and doing what he's been doing is just unheard of at this point. And they could still get the 1 seed here with a Philly loss and a Dallas loss. They would clinch that 1 seed in the NFC. That's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you guys hit that like button, comment below where your team ranks, and come back next week for our playoff power rankings.